Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551, and I am back with a My 2 cent Nintendo slash gaming video for this week, for the week of December 29th to January 4th. And I want to wish everyone out there a Happy New Year. I hope you guys had fun on New Year's Eve and all that stuff. Hopefully you guys stay safe and everything out there, though. For me, I chose to work on New Year's, which isn't necessarily bad. I'm going to get a time and a half out of that. But either way, nevertheless, I hope all of you had an enjoyable and safe New Year's. And we got basically 5 stories to cover. And this one is kind of interesting, though. We have 2 games one that sounds like more than likely it's been confirmed, and many thought this would be an impossible port. And a rumor about one game that I'm still not 100% sure it's going to come to the Nintendo Switch, but I can't rule it out entirely. Plus, there's rumors going around about a situation in regards of Metroid Prime 4, Saber Interactive's comment on the Switch, and several SKUs popping up, which could give us a clue that a direct could be just around the corner. So that most of this is related onto the Nintendo Switch and so forth. Excuse me. So before we get started, we'll start off with the quick My 2 cent part. And the first one we do want to talk about is that the director of 2018's God of War recently made a comment in which he believes that Nintendo should basically, bring back the Golden Sun series. For those who are not familiar with the Golden Sun series, it's basically an RPG series developed by Camelot. I believe 2 games were released on the Game Boy Advance and 1 on the Nintendo DS. Honestly, I think that I kind of have to agree with the God of War director on this one. I think Cory Barlog, if I'm saying his name correctly, though. As a side note, God of War 2018 is a good game for the PS4. I definitely recommend that game, to be exact. But anyway, back on topic, I would say, yeah, I think would be a good time for Nintendo to bring back that series as well, especially with the Nintendo Switch. I mean, hell, Luigi's Mansion 3 was released last year, and that apparently is doing well, even though that doesn't have as huge of an audience to say like what Mario and Zelda does. But you know what? Yeah, why not? Why not bring that one back? We're getting a remake of the first Xenoblade Chronicles. I don't see what's wrong with maybe either remaking the first 3 Golden Sun and then possibly doing a new entry or anything like that. We also heard that from the head of Platinum, or one of the developers at Platinum, Hideki Kamiya, if I'm saying the name correctly, basically trashed the home screen on the Nintendo Switch, which, while I don't always agree with the way he approaches his statements or anything like that, I can't entirely disagree with what he says. I mean, the home screen on the Switch, while not bad or anything like that, I do think that there are ways that Nintendo can improve upon it. Mainly, I agree, I think they need to add folders to it to make it easier, especially for those who take the download route, to basically organize it. So, yeah, he is right about that, though. Even though I don't agree with his approach to it, I don't disagree with his criticism about it. Hopefully, with supposedly an update coming for the Nintendo Switch, I think it's 10.0. It might change. It might add something that we finally see to it. It may not. We'll have to wait and see what that update is. Also, I would love to see Miiverse make a comeback on Nintendo Switch. Something that I would like to see that, though. We also learned that Platinum supposedly will have some surprises for this year, though. What that may be remains to be seen. Maybe they'll be actually publishing some games, to be exact. We've heard about them talking about publishing their own games. Maybe we'll hear some of the games come to the Nintendo Switch, such as maybe we'll hear like Nier Automata, or maybe it's something brand new. I mean, last year we got Astro Chain. That's a really good game, to be exact. So we'll have to wait and see what Platinum has to offer. So, but we'll see what Platinum is going to do this year. We also learned that supposedly there was a bug in WWE 2K where apparently on New Year's Day, nobody could play it and all that stuff. Now, supposedly 2K has resolved the issue and fixed it, but yeah, I think WWE 2K20 has turned into the Fallout 76 of wrestling games right now, and it's not good and all that stuff. And last but not least, we're learning that Dragon Quest 12 is certainly in development right now. I think development started last year. Whether or not it will come to the Nintendo Switch or not, that remains to be seen, though. I'm hoping the game, now we don't know what engine they're using. I'm hoping they're using Unreal Engine 4, and I hope the game does come to the Nintendo Switch. But we'll have to wait and see. Right now, they haven't showed off any gameplay or anything like that, so I assume it's still early in development, though. But great that Dragon Quest 12 is in development, and of course, from what we understand, Dragon Quest 11 is doing well, even on Nintendo Switch. Supposedly, that helped push the shipment of 5.5 million copies out there, so good on that one. Alright, so with the quick My 2 cent out of the way, we'll get started with the first one, and that has to do with a comment made by Saber Interactive. Now, if you're not familiar with them, they're mostly known as a port house, but they have developed their own games as well. I believe they developed the NBA 2K, and they also handled Shaq Fu, A Legend Reborn, which to me, I thought it felt like it was one of those, it's so bad, it's good. I mean, I don't think it was a terrible game, but I don't think it's going to give beat-em-ups like Double Dragon, Final Fight, or Street of Rage a run for its money. But they've also handled several ports as well. They've handled the Vamp port, they handled Ghostbusters, the video game, and of course last year's, as you can see here, what many of you would think that would be impossible to come to the Nintendo Switch obviously came to the Nintendo Switch. And it's still impressive how they were able to bring that game over to the Nintendo Switch, although there have been reports that at the beginning it was a mess and so forth. Well, it looks like Saber Interactive may have more games in development for the Nintendo Switch. In an article posted on Gaming Bolt, it reads, quote, titled, "The Witcher 3 port developer Saber Interactive working on more games for the Nintendo Switch. The Switch port specialists have some more projects in the pipeline." It reads, quote, "Saber Interactive as a studio has really taken the Switch among several others and have proven to be great at handling ports of games for Nintendo platform. Having worked on Switch ports of your games like The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Vampire, Call of CTHULHU, again I apologize I'm not saying the name correctly though, and many, many others. And as might have guessed, they're not done working on the Switch. Speaking recently with game creators, Saber Interactive Chief Creative Officer, who was formerly of id Software, said that though they're not ready to announce anything yet, the studio is working on a new game for the Nintendo Switch, while also expressing Saber's love for the Switch once again. They're saying, quote, "I can't announce anything right now, but we love the Switch platform, and we are creating new games that will be on the Switch. I'm not going to announce them right now." So obviously, Saber Interactive, at least according to what they're saying, certainly do like the Switch, and they have several different projects in development. What those projects may be remains to be seen. I mean, I just had a quick tongue twister right there. You know, it would be very interesting to see them maybe tackle another impossible port from like The Witcher 3 was. Maybe it could be the two games that I'm going to mention in this My 2 Cent as well. It could be those games. It could be maybe one that perhaps maybe they are tackling Cyberpunk 2077 for the Switch. Again, it's a long shot on that one, but considering how CD Projekt Red was happy with Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and considering how well it did on the Nintendo Switch, you know, anything is possible. Or it could be a small game like Vampire was, or anything like that. Either way, I am a little curious to see what kind of game they're working on for the Nintendo Switch. We'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully we'll hear an announcement this year of exactly what they are working on. But you know what? given how them, along with Panic Button and Virtuals, have shown so far, I mean, if there's a way to bring it to the Nintendo Switch, yeah. I mean, if they want to go to these port houses, that's fine, provided that the game they put on the Switch is presentable and so forth. So, overall, I would say I am very curious to see what Saber Interactive exactly is working on for the Nintendo Switch. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 2. And this one has to do with a game that, you know, it sounds highly unlikely, though, but it's certainly not out of the realm of possibilities, though. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at a rumor that has recently popped up of the possibility of Red Dead Redemption 2 coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, in 2018, Rockstar released Red Dead Redemption 2, the highly sequel, or should we say more like a prequel, to the first Red Dead Redemption that was released on the Xbox 360 and the PS3 and the PC. And honestly, to me, it is a good game. I always felt like I enjoyed the Red Dead Redemption series more than, say, the Grand Theft Auto series. Not that I have anything against Grand Theft Auto 5 or anything like that. I still think Grand Theft Auto 5 is a good game, but it's just, for some reason, I just enjoy Red Dead Redemption more. I guess the story, the lore, the gameplay, and all that stuff. It's just that I enjoy that one a bit more. And to hear Red Dead Redemption 2 the Red Dead Redemption 2, or at least rumors of it coming to Nintendo Switch, I've always thought that was like almost virtually impossible to do, considering that the PS4 version, the one that I got, had both a data disc and a gameplay disc, where you had to insert the data disc first and then the gameplay disc, and believe me, it took a while for those games to load. That's one of the criticisms about some of the games Rockstar puts out. Don't get me wrong, I like Rockstar's games, but let's be honest, it takes a while for those games to freaking load, for crying out loud. So, to hear about this rumor, I have to say, I'm still leaning towards it sounds impossible, but in an age where we have games that we thought would never come to the Nintendo Switch, end up on the Nintendo Switch, it's just not out of the realm of possibilities. 2 articles to point out, one from Nintendo Life and one from WCCF Tech. The first one from Nintendo Life basically points out it contains an image of the Nintendo Switch controller. The article reads, quote, "Everyone knows that the Switch isn't quite as powerful as the Xbox One and PS4, which makes it easy to keep expectations in checks when it comes to multi-platform ports. However, the arrival of games like Witcher 3, Overwatch, and Wolfenstein 2, don't forget Doom as well, has embroiled Switch fans who now know in the right hands the console is capable of hosting perfectly satisfying replication of these amazing titles," which I will say it's true. I mean, look at developers like Saber Interactive, Panic Button, Virtuals, Iron Galaxy, and so forth. Now, if you were to ask Switch fans what game they would like to see ported to the system next, then Red Dead Redemption 2 is likely to be quite high on the list. Rockstar's epic Wild West action title would be quite a challenge to cram onto Nintendo's hybrid console, but a new find has triggered speculation that it could well be happening. A Twitter user by the name of TEZFUNZ2 has been digging around the game files and has discovered an image of the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. Does this mean that a port is in the work, or could it simply be that Rockstar is planning to bring the Pro controller support to the PC version in the future? Bear in mind, though, I believe Steam now also supports the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. Could the Switch even handle a game of Red Dead Redemption choose scale and visual scopes, which studio would handle such a tricky job, and so forth. And it's also worth pointing out that, meanwhile, the article from WCCF Tech has read that new clues point to it happening. According to the article, it reads, quote, "Yes, really, take this with a very large grain of salt, but over the past couple of days, clues have cropped up pointing towards a Switch port of Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2020. A listing from the Red Dead Redemption 2 for Switch recently popped up on Spanish retailer Instant Gaming. The list comes with a Switch box art image attached, so this wasn't just a case of somebody tricking the Switch button by accident. Somebody put at least a little time into this. That said, the text accomplishing the listing mentions the PC version of the game, so this isn't exactly hard evidence, leading to some credentials. The notion of Red Dead Redemption 2 on Switch, in fact, is an image from the Switch Pro controller, which mentioned earlier was found by this Twitter user, though. Of course, this could just mean support for the Pro controller is coming to the PC version of Red Dead Redemption 2, and yes, you can't help but wonder. There are rumors a new Nintendo Direct may be on its way soon, and Red Dead Redemption 2 coming to Switch would be hell of a headline announcement. And really, the idea of the game being on Switch isn't that outlandish, as the very playable version of Witcher 3 has been brought to the system. Ultimately, I think the main barrier would just be the file size. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a whopping 100 gigabytes on current platform. No way Rockstar will shout for a 100 gigabyte cartridge, and even those micro SD cards installed probably don't have 100 gigabytes free on the Switch. Of course, the Switch version would probably be downgraded, and the quality of assets somewhat, and compression could further reduce the file size. Now, before I give my thoughts about it, there are two things I want to point out about this story, though. Number one, neither Rockstar or Take-Two Interactive, at least as the recording of this video, or at least as far as I'm aware of, have not commented on this rumor. So take it however you want to take it. You could say that you could look at it as either it does exist or it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist at all, and they're just not bother talking about it. So take that however you want to take it. And two, as of right now, according to the Instant Gaming, the site where this also has also been reported, though, they still have the image of the Nintendo Switch version up there. I clicked the refresh button several times. It's still up there as we speak. Again, take it however you want to take it, though, whether you agree with it or not. So now that I got those two parts out of the way, my thoughts on this is that I'm still leaning towards this being unlikely, though. I want to set my expectations to mile on this. It's not that I am against the idea of Red Dead Redemption 2 coming to the Nintendo Switch or anything like that. I'm not against that at all. I'm just not sure about this one, to be exact. I mean, considering what you had to go through if you purchased, like the PS4 or the Xbox One version, where you had to use 2 discs, a data disc, and then the gameplay disc, I'm just not 100% sure about this one coming to the Nintendo Switch. That being said, I can't completely rule this out entirely, though. As I've shown before, we've seen impossible ports come to the Nintendo Switch, though. And granted, make no mistake, some of those ports have been downgraded. Look at Doom, Wolfenstein, Witcher 3, Wild Hunt are good examples of this. So it's not completely out of the realm of the possibility. Although I still believe between the original Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2, I still feel that odds are there's a better chance that the first Red Dead Redemption would come to the Switch than it would be with Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, if they're going to bring Red Dead Redemption 2, there's probably going to have to be some really big downgrades. Maybe in some of the visuals, probably cut back on some of the people on it, on the screen, all that stuff. So there would have to be some really, really good optimization and compression to get this game running on a Nintendo Switch. I mean, it sounds like an impossible port though, and I still want to keep my expectations in check on this one. But like I said, I can't rule this one out entirely. We've seen impossible ports come to Nintendo Switch, so I can't say anything about whether or not this is or I can't say that I'm not going to just file and say it's not going to happen. I'm going to not rule it out, but I'm taking the until there is an official confirmation though. I'm going to take this one with a huge, and I mean huge, grain of salt though. One thing I will say about this is the timing of this rumor. And the timing has to do with basically when this rumor came out, we also heard about Saber Interactive basically saying that they're working on several Switch titles, to be exact. Now, I'm not saying that Red Dead Redemption 2 is the game that they are working on. I'm not saying Saber Interactive is working on a Switch port of Red Dead Redemption 2. But I will say the timing of Saber Interactive's comment and this one, it kind of gives it a little bit of an impression that it does sound like they are working on it though. But again, they may not be working on it at all. It may not even come to the Nintendo Switch, so I want to keep my expectations in check on this one though. So my overall takeaway from this is that I still think it sounds unlikely though. And I'm still taking until there's an official confirmation, I'm taking this one with a huge grain of salt. But given how we've had impossible games come to Nintendo Switch, like Doom, Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, and Youngblood, and even The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt itself, a game that around this time we've heard rumors of it coming, and we didn't think, and some of us dismissed it until it was shown at E3 2018, and we actually saw it running on the Nintendo Switch. When we have a game like that come to Nintendo Switch, I can't completely rule it out. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. It's the same view I have with the possibility of Cyberpunk 2077 and whether that will come to Nintendo Switch. And like that one, I can't completely rule it out entirely. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 3, and this one has to do with a rating, at least from the PEGI rating, of a game that it's sounding more and more likely it's coming to the Nintendo Switch. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My Two Cent video, and for this one has to do with supposedly a rating, at least from the PEG, the European rating, over the fact that Metro Redux might be coming to the Nintendo Switch after all. Now, last year there were rumors going around that supposedly a Portuguese website posted up, although supposedly they took it down, that Metro Redux was coming over to the Nintendo Switch. For those who are not familiar, Metro Redux are both first-person shooters, I think narrative, story-driven first-person shooter games that was released, I believe, on the Xbox 360 and also came to the PS3 and, of course, the PC and via Steam as well, with a version, I think in 2014, where it had both those games into one disc. Basically, it was Last Light and 2033, and they were developed by 4A Games in Ukraine and published by THQ and Deep Silver. Now, last year there were rumors about it coming to the Nintendo Switch, and it since then remained quiet until recently though, and this has to do with the fact that that a rating system was discovered on it though. In an article posted on by WCCF Tech, it reads, quote, Metro Redux Switch has recently been rated by the Pan-European Gaming Information (PEGI) board, suggesting that a release is imminent. Released in 2014 for the PC, PS4, Xbox One, Metro Redux includes the definitive version of Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light, Based on this new rating, this amazing double game collection is likely to be released on Nintendo's hybrid platform. All the enhancements from the acclaimed sequel to Metro Last Light has been transferred to Metro 2033 Redux. Superior AI, controls, animation, weapon handling, and many more. The game description reads on the website of publisher Deep Silver. And both campaigns benefit from all new melee animation, the ability to check your watch and ammo for supplies on the fly, and new full body player animation. Back in October this year, back in 2018, we already reported that Metro Redux Switch has been listed by a Portuguese retailer. This listing was later removed, as neither Nintendo nor Deep Silver has officially confirmed on this double game collection for the Switch, so they'll take this information with a grain of salt for now. However, with Redux now been officially rated, it's likely a Switch release is imminent. Now, other than Deep Silver not confirming this or anything like that, it's worth pointing out that if you go to the ESRB rating website, though, the Switch version isn't mentioned compared to the PEG rating, though. Although, if this game is confirmed, it's only a matter of time before it shows up on that. As far as this popping up on the rating system, I would say it's kind of similar to the situation we saw with Call Juarez Gunslinger for the Nintendo Switch. At first it was rumored, no one knew if the game was coming or not, but once it was popped up on the ESRB ratings, it was only a matter of time before the official announcement was made for that game, and it's sounding more and more likely that it's becoming clear that Metro Redux sounds like it's going to come to Nintendo Switch. Now, let's say it does come to Nintendo Switch. Let's say they officially bring it over. I think the question that some Switch owners like me will have is, how much of a downgrade are we going to see in terms of the visuals? Obviously, it's not going to look as good as the PS4 or Xbox One or PC version, but I am curious to see how much of a downgrade this will have on it. How much of a downgrade we could see on the Nintendo Switch. Will we still get all the content in it? And most importantly, is this one of those versions where they actually managed to put both games in one cartridge, like we saw with Final Fantasy X and X2? Is this is this one of those kind of games where you only get one game and you have to download the other versions, as we've seen some companies have pulled that kind of stunt before? And of course, does this pave the way to the possibility that Metro Last Redux, or the third entry in the Metro series, does this open the door to the possibility of that game coming to the Nintendo Switch? So it certainly raises some questions in regards of how this version of Metro Redux will look like on the Nintendo Switch and all that stuff, and whether or not it's going to be both games are going to be on a cartridge, or if it's going to be one game on the cartridge and you have to download the other one, or is it one of those where it's just an empty box with a download piece of paper on it? So there's still a lot of questions on it. Nevertheless, though, I am intrigued about this game coming to the Nintendo Switch. I played it on the PS4, and I enjoyed it, though. I like the whole story-driven kind of approach, at least when it comes to first-person shooters and so forth. So this is definitely one I would keep an eye on as well. One thing to point out is that Metro Last Light originally was supposed to come to the Wii U, but supposedly there were a lot of technical hurdles to prevent that, and that game, never came to the Wii U at all. So perhaps maybe this time around with the Switch, maybe they decided, you know what, perhaps maybe we could bring this over to the Switch. Of course, there's always the possibility that the Switch version is being handled by a port house as well, like we saw with Doom, Wolfenstein, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and so forth. So it's a possibility that a port house is maybe handling Metro Redux. So overall, while it's not an official confirmation, like what we saw with Call Juarez Gunslinger, given the fact that it's popped up on the PEGI rating board, unless that's a mistake or a typo on their part, it's sounding more and more likely that Metro Redux is going to happen onto the Nintendo Switch. Hopefully we'll hear an announcement soon, and I certainly would be open for Deep Silver and 4A Games to bring this game over to the Nintendo Switch. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 4, and this one has to do with rumors about supposedly certain parts of Metroid Prime 4 is being outsourced. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 4 of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at a rumor in regards of Metroid Prime 4. Now, I'm sure most of you remember last year, Nintendo put out a video in regards of Metroid Prime 4, a game that they announced at their E3 2017 digital presentation. And it turned out to be that the game originally, according to Nintendo, did not live up to their expectation and decided to restart development on that game. And we later learned that Retro Studio would be handling Metroid Prime 4. And while I applaud Nintendo for at least apologizing for the fact that of the game, and I applaud the fact that they're willing to admit their mistakes, I do think a level of criticism still needs to be towards them over the fact that they should have gone with Retro Studios in the first place. I mean, there were rumors going around that it was handled by an internal development team, that supposedly Bandai Namco Singapore was handling the game, although no one knew if that was true or not. So we've been hearing back and forth. So since then, we haven't really heard much about Metroid Prime 4, other than, Retro is working on it. They've recently hired some more people and so forth. And now a new rumor has started to pop up that points towards the fact that Retro may have outsourced, or at least outsourced, certain parts of Metroid Prime 4. Now, in an article from Game Rant, it reads that, quote, excuse me, the highly anticipated Metroid Prime 4 has had a very difficult and long development road. Originally teased at E3 2017, the game has largely been kept under wraps by Nintendo. In fact, it wasn't until January 2019 when Nintendo confirmed the game is being rebooted and handed back to Retro Studios. Unfortunately, not much else in the way of news has come from Nintendo, though that may be coming to an end soon. Based on a new job description, that has appeared online and discovered by YouTuber Drake81, Retro Studios may in fact be outsourcing part of development work on Metroid Prime 4. Based on a contract ad on Lincoln, Retro Studios is looking to hire a temporary position for an environment outsourced review artist. Essentially, this person would be responsible for reviewing outsourced work to make sure it's up to Retro's quality standards. Though, based on the job title, it appears that at least a portion of the outsourced work is related to the environment. Based on additional duties, this position is able to create and modify existing assets as needed, ensuring ongoing timely feedback and also testing levels in-game on the Switch console. One thing to note here is that the job description never mentions Metroid Prime 4, so it is possible, however small, that the positions could be for a different game the studio is also working on. Although outsourcing isn't uncommon for studios, and the fact remains that one big benefit to this is that the development cycle for Metroid Prime 4 could speed up a bit. There's still so much fans have yet to learn about Metroid Prime 4, but if the outsourcing is accurate and relates to the game, then 2020 could be the year players have been waiting for. Retro Studio has proven a track record with this franchise and even made a number of small hires, including Kyle Hefley, Hefley, a 9-year veteran developer at Microsoft's famed Halo Studios 343 Industries. This person has worked on each Halo game the studio has created, including the upcoming next generation Xbox title Halo Infinite. So if this story is true, they're saying that it's not uncommon for people to not uncommon for them to outsource certain parts of the game, and I'm sure other developers have done this as well. So I know some people are panicking, like saying, "Oh, this is bad" and all that stuff. But you know what? It may not be a bad thing. I mean, didn't Nintendo outsource Breath of the Wild to Monolith Soft and let them develop the game and so forth? So it's not it doesn't sound like it's an uncommon thing. Whether or not this means that Metroid Prime 4 is going to be released sooner or not, that remains to be seen, though. Given the fact they had to restart development, though, I'm not sure the game is going to come out in 2020 or anything like that. I mean, they might be able to show some gameplay footage, they might be able to show something about it, but I'm not sure if the game will be coming out this year or not. But I could be wrong on that, and Nintendo may surprise us, though. In the meantime, if the game is still in development, if the game is not going to come out this year, I really think Nintendo, and this game has been rumored for quite some time, should release the Metroid Prime trilogy on the Nintendo Switch. I think it would be a wise move for them to sort of, excuse me, build up hype for Metroid Prime 4. But we'll have to wait and see. Maybe they'll make it out. Maybe they'll show something off at a Nintendo Direct, or maybe they'll surprise us like they did at E3 when they did their digital presentation, and they ended it by announcing that they have started work on a sequel to Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So overall, it doesn't sound like this is an uncommon thing. Whether or not this means that the game will be released this year or not remains to be seen. I'm leaning towards most likely it won't, maybe 2021, 2022, but you know what? Who knows? It's possible Metroid Prime 4 could be released this year, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to get to part 5, and this one has to do with the report that several Switch SKUs was reported in a GameStop database, which could lead to a possibility of a direct. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our 5th and final part of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to take a look at what is apparently several SKUs for the Nintendo Switch. Now, normally, whenever you go pre-order, whether it's at GameStop or any other place, you normally will see on the pre-order list several available SKUs. Most of these times, they're just placeholders, especially when they have a date like 12/31/2019. I'm sure there are going to be ones that will have 12/31/2020, basically preparing for what could pop up on that list. Well, recently, a Twitter user found several available SKUs on GameStop, and this does sound to some people that this is a sign to indicate that we could be seeing a Nintendo Direct soon. In an article let me close this one. Okay, in an article from Destructoid, it reads that, quote, "It looks like all the pieces are falling into place for a potential Nintendo Direct. Don't get mad if there isn't one this month. We'll see if that happens or not." A Twitter user by the name of YUKAMII pointed out, GameStop is doing its usual pre-direct new SKU listing. Traditionally, this is when GameStop prepares for the big direct announcement ahead of the time, so fans can watch direct, then go pre-order those SKUs. Several other existing Switch games have also listed for January slot, but the rest, presumably those direct games, have placed orders of 12/31/19. This isn't enough on its own to really cause a stir, but Aulx joined in on the fun on Twitter this week, telling its followers to please look forward to the follow-up of Shin Megami Tensei 5 hitting the ATs, or a reveal was coming very soon. It's worth pointing out that last week, Aulx made a comment saying that the game is still in development and all that stuff, so it's sounding more and more likely that we're getting closer and closer, based on the list that they showed. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So far, this one shows basically 10, although there could be more on this list as well. Oh, actually, wait, it looks like 12. 12. Wait, sorry, 15. 15, my bad. I think it's 15, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think it's a clear indication that a direct is coming. Now, when it's coming, who knows? I mean, it's possible we could get one in January. I mean, this, combined with the rumors about a new update coming to the Nintendo Switch, could be signs that we are getting a direct soon, or we may not be getting a direct at all, maybe not until February and so forth. As for what these SKUs could mean, well, there are many things it could mean. It could mean with the recent rating for Metro Redux that I mentioned in this video, it could mean that could make it on the Switch. The one that I still think it's impossible, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, Red Dead Redemption 2, or even Red Dead Redemption 1. I mean, still think that's most likely. I still think that Red Dead Redemption 1 is more likely to come to Switch than 2, but who knows? It could be other games that we don't know about. Maybe Breath of the Wild 2 will go on that list or anything like that. But we don't know 100% for certain, but seeing that list up there, it is clear that for a lot of people, and I do kind of agree with this, where it's bound to mean that a direct is coming. What's going to be in that direct remains to be seen, but I wouldn't be surprised when Nintendo does eventually do their direct, see those fill up with the games they announce at the direct, though. Obviously, whatever they announce, though, although I do believe they're probably saving some of the big ones for E3. I mean, like I said, if Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming to the Nintendo Switch, I think that one most likely they'll save for E3 for the digital presentation. I just can't see something like that being shown at like a January or February Nintendo Direct. But we'll have to wait and see. But overall, it's obviously clear that this is a sign that a Direct is coming. At least that's how I see it and how I think most people see it so far. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts? Excuse me. What are your thoughts about Saber Interactive's comment on the Nintendo Switch? Are you pleased that they're working on several different Switch games? And what games do you think they could be working on the Nintendo Switch? And what games would you like to see them work on the Nintendo Switch? Do you think they should work on some smaller titles? Or should they do like titles we never thought would come to the Nintendo Switch but are there, like Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was? What are your thoughts about the rumor going around about Red Dead Redemption 2 could be coming to the Nintendo Switch? Do you think this is too far-fetched? Do you think this is too good to be true? Do you think the controller image that was leaked is basically saying, hey, you could play Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC with the Nintendo Switch Pro controller? Or do you feel like, given how we've seen impossible ports come to the Nintendo Switch, can't completely rule this out and think this is not out of the realm of possibilities? What are your thoughts about the possibility that Metro Redux got rated from the PEGI rating system? Do you think this is an indication that it's going to come to the Nintendo Switch in any way? Do you think they'll make an announcement like at a Nintendo Direct? Do you think they'll make their own announcement or anything like that? Or do you think this was just like a typo or anything like that? What are your thoughts about the possibility that Metroid Prime Forum released some of the environments part is being outsourced. Do you think that's a big deal? Do you think this is not a big deal at all? Do you think this will speed up the process? And do you think this is possible we could see Metroid Prime 4 this year? Or do you think you expect it to be more likely maybe next year or 2022 or a little bit later? And what are your thoughts about these Switch SKUs popping up on this GameStop Eternal database or retail list? Do you think this is a sign to indicate that we are getting a Nintendo Direct soon, or do you think we're not getting one at all? Do you think, or not at all? And if we are getting a Nintendo Direct, though, which ones do you expect these to fill up, or do you expect some of them to still remain, Switch SKUs and so forth? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!